Okay, hello again, guys. So I'll be wrapping up my Erickson phases here and walking you through my second theory in this second video. So multi-systems lens. Being a homemaker is really all my interviewee knows. It's allowing her to continue this with future generations and has really avoided her stagnation. Um, Pressure to prioritize her family has also maybe persuaded her not to pursue postgraduate training or education. So, from a social learning perspective, she's the oldest of three children. She came from a middle class family. Mom was also a homemaker. So, she really just sort of became what she knew as a mother, and really just replicated the behaviors of her own mother into her own household and now her daughter's household. Um, she was the oldest of the three kids and mentioned during her interview that she had, just some of like the oldest child responsibilities. So I think all of those pressures, while she didn't necessarily mention that she felt, like she missed out on not having a career outside of the home. I think just the ideal of what she felt a mother should be kind of kept her from pursuing any sort of postgraduate training or education. Um, we mentioned before, she's thankful she hasn't had to go into any sort of supported living. Elder care is a huge concern for the aging population, and I know that this is something that's very comforting to her, that she'll be taken care of well in her the end stages of her life. Um, my interviewee is very highly valued by her adult daughter. During the interview, her daughter said many times she doesn't know how she would have survived without her mom in the house when the kids were younger. She doesn't know what she would have done if she didn't have her mom to help out around the house. So this really emphasized the idea pointed out in the text around exchange theory. Both parties of the relationship have quite a bit to earn from the other. Um, my research brought up a study around the feeling of reciprocity within both sides of a relationship. So, because she is so highly regarded by her family members, it results in just an overall high sense of self worth for herself. Um, So that's it for Erickson. The second theoretical perspective that I chose to focus on was Peck's theory of ego integrity. Um, my interviewee, in my opinion, would be considered fully successful through both her self-reporting and my perception of how well and how sufficiently she's completed the following three stages. So Peck showed up in the text, obviously in the later chapters, because it pertains pretty specifically to elder years. So the first stage of Peck's theoretical model was ego differentiation versus work and role preoccupation. The text defines that as affirming self worth through family, friendship, and community life rather than using past career successes and physical ability as a measuring stick for work. So, obviously, my interviewee doesn't have significant past career successes outside of the home, but obviously, in her advancing age, her physical ability is beginning to decline. Um, she seems, from her self report, fully self actualized through her contribution to the household. So she didn't have a paid job. She's slowing down a little bit because she's so highly regarded in the work that she does. She seems to have a high measurement for her self worth. Second stage, transcendence versus body preoccupation. So this focuses a little bit more of the physical limitations, surmounting physical limitations by emphasizing compensating rewards of cognitive, emotional, and social powers. The text said enjoying life rather than focusing on bodily aches and pains. While I feel like sometimes that applies to even me now, she is struggling with reduced mobility and some cognitive function, but that which obviously comes along with her advanced age, but she still maintains that high level of contribution in the home. And I think that goes hand in hand with the value that she feels from her family members and the community members, which keeps her feeling high. It keeps her feeling that she's highly valued by the people around her. The third stage, ego transcendence versus ego preoccupation. This is defined in the text as facing the reality of death constructively through efforts to make life more secure, meaningful, and gratifying for younger generations. Her efforts in the home, as I've mentioned throughout these two presentations, her efforts in the home and community have greatly impacted future generations, both within her family, within her community. So the work that she's doing is laying a foundation to make life much more secure and much more gratifying for her grandchildren, her great grandchildren, and the community members around her. So my theory limitations, I focused on Peck's theory for the purposes of this exercise. And my assumption of my interviewee as having completed all three stages of Peck's theory and ego integrity, it's based on a mixture of both her self-report as well as my perception, having known her for a while. She's had no formal evaluations to my knowledge from a social behavioral standpoint to kind of confirm my assumptions, but I think just from her own self-reporting, she seems fully actualized and highly regards her contributions and her life as a whole. So these are my references. Thank you guys so much for your time. This was a little bit stressful, so I'm kind of happy to be done, and I'm sure you're probably done listening to me. But as I said, this was a really rewarding opportunity to get to know her a little bit better. And I don't know, I hope you all have a great Christmas break. Thanks so much.